G'day everyone, and welcome back to Talking Everything AFL. Today we are diving into my AFL 2026 round 3 tips, plus a quick look back at round 2 tips. How many I got right, how the leaderboard is shaping up, and my updated brownlow predictor after round 2. If you enjoy AFL content, tips, previews, and match breakdowns, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, and if you want to support the channel even further, you can buy me a coffee. Link in the description. Alright, let's get straight into it. So, round 2 of the 2026 AFL season is in the books, and I finished with 4 out of 7 correct tips. The 3 teams that let me down were the Crows, the Giants, and the Quincas against West Coast. But hey, tipping is very unpredictable, and getting 4 out of 7 was okay, not the best, but not the worst. Now, let's look at the Talking Everything AFL leaderboard. In top spot with 14 tips, we have Neddy Oden, followed by 2 players with 13 tips that include me, Talking Everything AFL, or abbreviated TEAFL, and Langer's Loser. And to round out the top 4 in full spot, we have I Am Hacks with 12 tips. Well done to all. Great start for everyone. And now for the Brownlow predictor. After round 2, in equal first place with 2 players on 6 votes, I've got Nick Dacos and Christian Petrarca, what a recruit for the Suns. And in the third spot on 5 votes from Sydney is Justin McInerney. Huge work rate, huge impact. That's the top 3. Let's see how they track over the next month or so. Now we head into my round 3 tips. The first game of the round is between Geelong Cats and the LA Crows on a Thursday night. The Cats had the bye last week, while the Crows lost to the Doggies by 8 points. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Adelaide's record at GMHBA Stadium. They have only won 3 out of their last 23 games there. Key matchup, Jeremy Cameron versus Jordan Butts or Nick Murray. If Cameron gets off the chain early, the Crows are in trouble. Other factors to consider is Adelaide's midfield pressure versus Geelong's clearance game. Vital battle. Due to these factors, I'm going to select Geelong by 17 points. The second game of the week is on a Friday night between Collingwood Magpies and GWS Giants. Collingwood had the bye, whereas the Giants lost at home to St Kilda by 4 points. The last 6 games between these two sides, 3 wins each apiece, dead even. Key matchup, the Dacos brothers versus GWS midfield rotation. Also in the full line for the Giants, Toby Green versus Braden Maynard. Due to these factors and the Giants losing their last 2 games, I'm going to tip the Maggies to win by 9 points, and we're expecting Darcy Moore to come back this week. The third game of the week is between St Kilda Saints and the Brisbane Lions. The Saints had a good 4-point win against the Giants last week, whereas the Lions had the bye. Their recent head-to-head has been interesting. The Brisbane Lions have won 5 of their last 5 encounters, all of them. The key matchup, Naz or Nasar Moreira, if he's in midfield, against Lockley Neal. Elite midfield battle. And another interesting point I've got is Cam Raynard's impact against the St Kilda's defensive structure. He can kick 55-metre bombs and he's got a good overhead mark. Brisbane's struggling the last couple of games. I'm still going to tip the Lions to win, not by a lot. 12 points. I just have a gut feel that I don't see the Lions losing 3 in a row. The 4th game of the week is between Fremantle Dockers and Richmond Tigers. Fremantle demolished Melbourne last week by 40-odd points, and the Tigers got absolutely smashed by the Gold Coast Suns by 68 points. Just looking at the last 5 meetings, Richmond have actually won 3 of their last 5 games, but the context is completely different now. The Tigers are currently in rebuild mode, nowhere near their old premiership window, so this skews the numbers. Key matchup, Sarong and Brayshaw versus the young developing Richmond's midfield. but you do have experienced players like Toronto, plus Fremantle's full efficiency, your Amos, Tracy against the young backs of Richmond's backline. The games in Western Australia, Fremantle is in win now mode, and I'm going to tip Fremantle to win pretty comfortably by 21 points. The fifth game is between Essendon Bombers and North Melbourne Kangaroos. Essendon got floored by Port Adelaide Power by 68 points last week. On paper, the historic numbers lean heavily Essendon's way. The Bombers have dominated this matchup, winning all of their last 5 encounters against the Roos, with margins ranging from tight finishes to big wins. But context matters. Those results came during a period where North Melbourne were deep in a rebuild, young, inexperienced, still building a core identity. Fast forward to now, and North look far more developed, settled, and physically competitive, with their emerging midfield and improved structures, giving them a much stronger baseline. That growth skews the relevance of the head-to-head stats, where it's been 5-0 to the Bombers in the last 5 games. Alright, let's look at the matchup. Luke Davies-Yaki, or LDU, versus Zach Merritt. LDU's power, burst, and ability to push the ball forward will be central to North's hopes. Merritt brings elite work rate and defensive pressure. If LDU controls the stoppages, North gain the territorial edge despite Essendon's past dominance in the full line. For the Roos, Nick Larkey versus Essendon key defence, i.e. Mackay, the ex-Kangaroo player. Larkey's one-on-one craft and accuracy means he doesn't need high volume supply. If North isolate him inside 50, he's capable of breaking the game open. And my third dot point is Essendon's forward pressure versus North's improved rebound from defence. Essendon can punish sloppy exits, but North's back half composure has improved dramatically. If they can absorb pressure and switch decisively, they can control long periods of the match. I'm going to tip the Roos to beat the Essendon Bombers by 13 points. The next game, Game 6, is between Port Adelaide Power and West Coast Eagles. Port Adelaide has dominated the recent head-to-head, winning the past 4 out of 5. The key matchups look at Port's midfield, Zach Butters, Jason Horne-Francis versus the Eagles midfield, i.e. Harley Reid or Elijah Stewart. If Port duo surges from stoppages, Eagles back 6 will be under siege. Then it will be in the defence with Power, Alia versus Jake Woolman. If Alia controls air, West Coast must lower their eyes and find leading lanes. Thirdly, Port's pressure forwards versus Eagles rebound, i.e. your Corey Durdens. If Port win the front half turnover game, they should win the game. And therefore, I'm going to take the Power by 29 points at Adelaide Oval. The last game of the week is between Carlton versus Melbourne Demons. Last week, the Blues had the bye, and Demons was smashed by Fremantle by 48 points. Key matchup, you got P. Cripps, Sam Walsh in the midfield against Melbourne, where you got Cozzy Pickett, given that there's no Oliver and Petrarca anymore for the D's. And if the Blues midfield connect clearly to their forwards by winning the contestable and transition speed, I can see Harry Mackay and Mitch McGovern having a field day, and they can easily outscore the Demons setup. And another interesting matchup is Melbourne's defense of Lever and Perry against McKay and McGovern. The kicking angle and hit-up depth matters. Shallow entry speed Lever and Perry intercepts. But, as I said earlier, if the Blues midfield dominate, McGovern and McKay will have a field day. And thirdly, the battle of the rucks. Max Gawn, All-Australian elite versus Pitnott, who's regained his position given that De Koning left as a free agent. If Melbourne owns stoppages, Blues must counter with ground ball wins and quick release. This game is a coin flip, and therefore I've just edged the Blues on the full efficiency, and I'm going to tip Carlton by 4 points. There are 4 teams that have the bye, which include the undefeated Gold Coast Suns and the Western Bulldogs, plus Hawthorn and the Swans. So plan your fantasy and tips as accordingly. And that's my full preview and tips for round 3 of the 2026 AFL season, where I tip Geelong, the Maggies, the Lions, Fremantle, the Kangaroos, the Power, and Carlton. Let me know your tips in the comments. I'll reply to everyone. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe, smash the like button, and if you want to support the channel directly, you can buy me a coffee using the link in the description. Thanks for watching Talking Everything AFL. I will see you in the next one next week.